All right, we're live and it's Real Talk on Real Estate. And tonight we're going to be talking about how to find a $0 down deal between now and the end of the year. Do they really exist, by the way? Do they? Uh, Tell me. Comment down below. There are zero down deals that do exist, but they do take some type of capital deployment for a short period of time. And let me explain to you two incredible ways to actually take down a single family and a commercial project, multifamily or commercial asset. And I'm going to teach you two of each of two. So I'm going to teach you two ways for each on both the single family and on the multifamily and commercial assets. So yeah, there is a way to go in with very little to no money down, but you're going to need some type of financial deployment into it. Okay. So let me start off with the simplest first. And then I'm going to go into not what I would call complicated, but more sophisticated way of going in and getting into a larger project with very little to no money into the project. And let me share with you how to do this before the end of 2026. Now, for those people that don't have that creative nature of utilizing the tools and resources that are available to them because maybe they're scared, they just don't know, or don't really understand how to go about doing it. Let's talk about owner financing first, okay? Because there's two things you can negotiate in every single project, okay? Any piece of real estate you buy, any piece of land, any home, any multifamily, there's two things you negotiate. One is the price, okay? That's just one. Most people think that like the price is like the big deal. Like, how do I get this price? How do I get this thing for the price I need to make it work? The second thing you need that's typically even more important than the price is important, but more important than the price is the terms of your project. So let's talk about the terms, right? How do you get this thing for zero money down? Well, there's a toolbox, okay? And in this toolbox, you have different tools. And with those tools, you can do different things with them. Very similar to building a house or working on a car. You can't build an entire car with a crescent wrench. You can't build an entire house with a hammer, and that's it, right? You need to diversify all the tools that you're going to need in order to do it. That's why you have a toolbox and you pull out whatever tools you need in order to do it. And real estate is the same way. So when you're going in and you're going to do a zero down deal, how do you get there, right? Like you have to back into it. And sometimes I don't even know if I want to be zero money in, but the goal is to be the least amount of money out of pocket because liquidity is king. You want to keep as much liquidity as humanly possible. So when you go in, how do you keep your money liquid? How do you keep from putting everything you have into a project, or how do you get all of it back or as quick as humanly possible? Those are the two things. Okay. So we negotiate the price, right? Okay. So we get the price that we need. Now, what do the terms look like? Because the terms are what going to depict whether you go in with no money or you go in with a lot of money or just a monetary amount of money or whatever it is, the terms are going to do it. So sometimes I will compromise price to get the terms I need. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say that you're quarreling over $5,000, okay? And you're sitting back going, okay, I really want to get this piece of land or this house for $5,000 less. And you sit back and go, okay, is this $5,000 going to get me the deal? And if it's going to get you the deal, you talk to the broker and the broker goes, yeah, they're not budging off that $210,000. Like you're going to have to pay $210,000. You can't get it for $205,000. So you sit back and go, okay, I can win the battle and lose the war, or I can just give in for the $5,000 and let's get that $5,000 on the back end based on terms. And say, okay, I'm going to give the seller what they want. I'm going to give them all the money. Okay. But I'm going to do a few different things. One, I want some contingencies in here that are predicated around me having a successful project. So if it's a build, maybe the entitlements, maybe going in and getting the municipal approvals for a certain density, or all municipal approvals to be able to get permit ready. If it's a piece of land, maybe it's to gain approval. It's a contingency to gain approval for you to be able to go in and get a certain quantity of lots, subdivide, approval for permits, a build, whatever it is, right? So now you're going in and you want this time. You want to be able to have this gap time to be able to go in, get architecture, permits, whatever it is. You put in a little escrow money, you reserve the lot, the house, the apartment complex, whatever it is, you reserve it, right? Like now you secure it, you control it. Legally, you have that project tied up and it's yours legally binding based on the terms and conditions, and it's all in escrow. And so there's legalities if they try to take it back from you, and it reads that in the contract, right? So legally, you control it. Now, when we go in, I may sit back and say, okay, maybe we get to the finish line, and maybe we just want these terms where you just don't have any payments. And I do this a lot with multifamily, where I'll go in on a big project, similar to something like this one right here, and I need some time to get all this work done. I need to go in, and it's going to take me on a multifamily apartment complex. This may take me 6 months to do. Okay. So I can either buy that property today, and how much is that property, right? Like this property right here happens to be about an $800,000 property. So if you look at it like this, let me get a calculator. Look at it like this. You take $800,000 times, let's say you have a modest interest rate on a loan of like 7.5%. So times 0.75, okay? Or 0.75, sorry. So we take 800,000 times 0.075%. That's $60,000 a year, okay? You're correlating over 5,000. What if you just have your term set where you do a delayed close based on these approvals, and let's say it takes you 6 months, you divide that in half, that's $30,000 you saved in interest payments because you delayed your close for 6 months, okay? Now, we're still not zero money in. Now, how do we get to the zero money in, right? Like, I'm just talking about terms, right? I'm giving you guys a little bit of resources here. Now, what if you have to close on it because maybe it's a property that's in probate. Maybe it's a property that is between heirs and somebody passed away, and it has to get sold, right? Like there's just a cutoff date and it has to get sold. And so now you go in and you tell them, okay, we'll go in, we'll pay your price, but we want you to do an owner carryback. We want you to go in and do some owner financing for us, okay? Now, on the owner financing, so we're paying a little extra. We have some entitlements to work through, and I know you're in a rush, but we're going to do a 0% interest for the first 6 months. And the reason why is because you will not allow us to do a delayed close. We have some entitlements to do. We need to make sure that we get our density. And if we can't get our density, then we're going to have to resell the lot because it's not worth anything to us. And since we believe in the project, we believe we're going to get the density, and we're forced to have to pay for it up front, you do an owner carry. Let's push us back. We'll put you a little bit of down payment money in. Now, once we put down payment money in, whether you go in and you do an owner finance or you go in and you do conventional lending, you're going to get credit for that down payment, okay? Now, you can either go in and you can negotiate zero down and maybe a little bit of interest payment, or you negotiate no interest for a certain amount of time and a small, modest amount of down payment money. Now, when you do, you're going to get credit on this spreadsheet. This is your underwriting spreadsheet to go in and take down a project. This is a real one. This is my Taylor Street project, and this is a real spreadsheet. This is magical to be able to go in and be $0 into a project. It's not zero down, but zero money into the project, okay? Now, when we go into multifamily, we do this regularly. When we go in, we have an equity stack and we have our debt stack. The debt stack is what we get from the bank. The equity is what we bring in, either through investors or us personally. Now, when we do that, if it's our own money, sometimes we just want to get our money back out because liquidity is king. So if liquidity is king, how do we get our money back out the quickest? And so what we do is we bake in everything we put into that project on these first buckets right here. Each line is a bucket of money, okay? And we put all of our invested capital right on these front lines. This way, when we get the project going, we go in and we get a disbursement from the bank, and we get what's called a draw for the loan. That's to be able to move the project forward. So if we have soft costs, like on stuff like this, sets of plans, where we have to get the money back from the architecture, engineering, and stuff like that, I want that money back. If I had to put $5,000, $10,000 in escrow to secure and tie up that lot, I want that money back. Because that money is going to allow me to go out while this project is being built, to go out and start the process on another project, so that when this project's done, I can roll straight into the next project. And I don't get cussed. I don't get held up. I don't get pushed back. I'm able to just go in and start moving on project number 2, liquid, as I start moving through my project. So that way there's no downtime. Okay. When I say liquid, I'm not talking liquid financial. I'm talking like fluid, right? It just flows real easy. Just like a river, just flows. Okay. Now, when we go do this, guys, my first draws from the bank, I'm going to put the cost of my expenses, my earnest money, what I put in escrow, and all my soft costs on the spreadsheet. And on my very first or second draw or both, I'm going to exit out my capital. Okay. And it's approved because it's on the spreadsheet and it is for that project specifically. Okay. Now that's how I do a replacement of capital. And then I'm in that project for zero money down. And that's exactly what we did on Taylor Street. I went in and we had $500,000. We were forced to get the land a little bit before we were ready to go in for permits. We had negotiated it to be able to go all the way to the finish line, but our architects and engineers, it was a smaller project, and our architect hired some less sophisticated engineers that took them a damn long time and landed up putting us between a rock and a hard place where we had to come out of pocket with some money. Because a lot of times, if you line it up right, you can get the bank and your permits at the exact same time. And so if you get them within a week or two of each other, you can go and get construction lending in advance, and you can either bring the down payment for the equity out of your own pocket, or if you have enough equity because you understand how to underwrite, you can bring the collateralized equity to the table. So now you're putting your down payment through collateralized equity that you've created in the project through the process of entitlements. And so now the bank, as you close on that loan simultaneously, you show them your purchase agreement. Your first draw is a check to the seller on the land, all financed, taken care of, and put to work, guys, with zero money out of your own pocket. You do still have your escrow money in order to secure the lot, and you still have your cost for entitlement. So it's not completely no money down, but it's very little money down. And how else are you going to go in and buy a $500,000 lot or $300,000 lot? Most people don't have an expendable $300,000, $500,000 in the bank. And if you do get a bank loan on land, because it's not cash producing, the banks typically want close to 50% down, if not more. And so if you have a $300,000 lot, that's $150,000 down payment to buy the lot, which most people don't have. So as a replacement for that, how about going in and maybe spending for a full set of permit drawings, $10,000 to $15,000, and then maybe about $5,000 in escrow money. So that cuts it down to about $15,000 or $20,000, which you can bridge around with just a simple construction loan. A simple bridge loan or a simple business line of credit. Now, what's cool about that $15,000, $20,000 is now we could take that and we can put it on our first line item right here. And that first line item right here, we can do a replacement of capital on that first draw. And now the land was paid for by the equity contribution that we gave to the bank. So now the bank actually buys the land for us. Okay. So the bank actually buys the land for us. And now we go in and we do a replacement of a smaller amount of capital. Okay. So it's very little to almost no money out of pocket. Now, another way to do it is just owner finance and give them the price they want and negotiate your terms. Terms are super important. So you can go do an owner finance deal and you can negotiate zero money down. And maybe with zero money down, you go in, you close on the land, and you pay a little bit higher interest rate. Okay. And sometimes you can even do, like, let's say it's land for a house. You can go in and do an owner finance deal on a lot. And now you can go and collateralize that lot against a line of credit, home equity line of credit, and go in and be able to build a house. And what you could do is you can make the interest occurring on the back end so that way when you close on the land later on, you don't have to worry about interest payments till you actually sell the house. Then once you sell the house, all the what you owe on the lot plus what you've incurred in interest now get sent over to the seller. And that helps them offset their capital gains taxes. It also helps them to be able to bridge over the gap of maybe a new year. So that way they have more time in lieu of their capital gains taxes. And so it buys them time, and they still get what they want for their lot in regards to the price they want, but you negotiated the terms. So ladies and gentlemen, there's multiple ways. I can sit here all day and go through ways that you can go in, secure land, and an option to buy it with no money out of pocket, go in and entitle it, go in and subdivide it, go in and get to the first breakaway point of a piece of land, and put yourself in a position where you have almost no money out of pocket, and you take down this piece of land where you control it, still don't own it, but you control it. And now you can go in, get all the entitlements, and you're at a first breakaway point. Now, when you get to the first breakaway point of entitlement, where you secure a piece of land, you subdivide it, you go through the subdivide process, you're going to have the cost of subdividing the land, which for a modest piece of land like 5 acres, it might cost you $3,000 in municipal fees to go in and do it, and a little bit of survey cost to be able to put that together. Now, when you do that, you could tie up the land with an option to buy and a first right of refusal, and all your purchase requirements set in place contingent on your ability to get the subdivide done. Now, once you do that, you can go through your full subdivide process, having that land tied up, okay? All it costs you is a little bit of escrow money to tie and secure the land up. Now, you take that to escrow, that money is going to get applied towards the actual purchase of that lot, but it's just sitting there like money in the bank with a bank deposit in Bank of America or Chase Bank or whatever it is. Now, then you go in, you take that to the bank. Now you go in, you finish the entitlements. You don't take it to the bank, you take it to the escrow company, and now you're marketing the property as you're getting your municipal approvals. This process might take you 3 to 6 months in order to get all municipal approvals to be able to subdivide that land. Once it's subdivided, you get the stamp of approval from city council and the progressive planners in your municipality. That land just went up in value exponentially, okay? And you have to put in your contingency when you put your terms together that the seller agrees to comply with all municipal requirements that you're going to need in order to gain the density and the subdivide that you are requiring in order to buy the lot that the lot is contingent on the purchase. Then if you have this thing marketed and sold, we would go in, you sit down, you sit down in a meeting at your local office with DR Horton Pulte. It's the buying team. Whoever the buyer is for Pulte, whoever the buyer is for DR Horton, whoever the buyer is for KB Homes, whoever the buyer is for Centex Homes, whoever the buyer is for Lennar Homes in your local regional area, you sit with them and you tell them, will this work? Would you buy this from me? How would you like this to look, provided we sell this to you? And then you work through the process for them. You get to the first breakaway point. They go out and relieve you of the liability. They put in the infrastructure, but you just saved them 9 months. They can turn key on that thing, and they'll pay a premium for it because now they don't have to go through the entitlement process. You've already done it for them. It's already approved for a certain quantity of density, which you worked with them on. Now your survey company went and subdivided the land. You have almost no money out of pocket at all because you haven't even closed on it yet. You don't even own it yet. It's just an option to buy it with contingencies in there, but it's secured and you control the land without purchasing it on an option. Now what you do is you close on both of them at the exact same time, at the exact same day, at the exact same closing, using the exact same title company, and you set it and structure it like that, and that's what you make the sale to whoever you're going to sell it to contingent on, is that you use that title company. And so once you do that, ladies and gentlemen, you put yourself in a position where you have almost no money out of pocket, but yet you're able to go in and control the asset, do what you need to do to turn a profit. So what if you tie that land up for $800,000, but now that land all of a sudden becomes that was worth $800,000. Now you maybe have $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 into the land in these entitlement fees to be able to subdivide it. So now you go in and let's say that land now is worth $2 million based on what you just did on the subdivide. Or what if it's only worth $1.5 million or just over $1 million? You make a few $100,000 just getting to the first breakaway point, selling that land off to a DR Horton, a Pulte, or even just a small local builder, even just a small local builder or regional builder. And now they go in, you just save them a bunch of time, and you got paid based on your time, not the actual asset, and you close on them simultaneously, putting yourself in a position where you already control the land, but now you execute and close on the exact same day, relieving you of the financial liability of having to purchase that land, service the debt, and now you're able to go in seamlessly and close on that deal, and you bring home the bread. Ladies and gentlemen, there is multitudes of ways to buy real estate with very little to no money out of pocket. You can use sub-2, you can use loan assumptions, you can use owner finance contracts, you can come in and you can use options to buy and contingencies. But remember, you always do two things. You can negotiate price and you can negotiate terms. A lot of times, negotiation of the right terms are better than the right price, provided you have a business plan, a model, and underwriting to support it. Ladies and gentlemen, for more content just like this, click and subscribe to our YouTube channel and get more real estate hacks on how to buy land, how to build houses, how to subdivide land, and how to sell them for profit. And ladies and gentlemen, smash that thumbs up button, give me some love, and click and subscribe. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, go out and compound your success. Good night and God bless.